Hello, I'm Tiffany Shlain. I'm co-founder of 50/50 Day and director of the film 50/50. And we have millions of people around the globe. There's thousands of screenings happening today all over the United States, all 50 states, and in over 65 countries. And we have these amazing speakers. I'd like to remind everyone that you can ask questions to the speakers as we're going on Facebook Live in the comment area, or anyone that's watching on YouTube or other places on our site. You can use the hashtag #GettingTo5050 and ask any questions. We have an amazing guest up next. They've all been great. Actually, I should also say you can continue to scroll down on Facebook and on our site to see all the speakers, because we started at 5 a.m. We have not slept and we're feeling good. So next up, we have Jane Eisner. We are so happy to have you. You are the first female editor-in-chief of The Forward, a fantastic publication, and in the whole 120-year history. And for the previous 25 years, you were at the Philadelphia Inquirer, and in 2004 authored Taking Back the Vote. You're the board chair of the Student Press Law Center and a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. Hello. How are you?
Hello, it's so nice to be here.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. And let's see, you're a fellow Jewess. You know, as a Jewess, you're a Jewess, a feminist, a badass. So I want to talk to you about what it's like to be the first woman leading this Jewish publication.
Well, it's really an honor. I was just thinking about this, Tiffany. It was 9 years ago, just around this time, because I remember it was Mother's Day when I made the decision to take the job. It was a big deal because I had to move to New York and leave another job that I really enjoyed. But it was meant to be. You know, I care so much about journalism. I care so much about the Jewish community. And to be able to put those two things together was really something I could not pass up.
And how do you think that, I mean, what percentage, actually, I don't know if you know, but what percentage of publications are led by women? Do you know that?
Oh, it's very small. It is very, very small. I mean, it is growing, but there's no doubt that one of the things that really shocked me in taking this job was how few women leaders were in important roles in the Jewish community. So I get the job in June, and that summer my publisher takes me around to meet all the important people who are running these big Jewish organizations. And I said to him, where are the women? I wasn't meeting any women. And I came from Philadelphia, which is not exactly the most enlightened place for women in politics and government. But in the nonprofit sector, and we're a nonprofit here at the Forward too, there are a lot of really powerful, fascinating, creative women. And so I figured there must be in the Jewish community in New York. Come on. So here's what I did. I literally would find the names of people mentioned in stories, and I wrote notes. I'm a big believer in handwriting notes, and said, can I meet you? And this is how I got to meet some of these amazing women, women like Ruth Messenger at the American Jewish World Service, or Joy Levitt, who runs the largest JCC in the country, or just, really just terrific women. But they are not the ones who are the go-to people. They're not the ones who you hear about as the Jewish leadership. And that was really an eye-opener for me, and it's why we've done a lot of journalism around women. We've created a women's blog. We've done a lot of investigative work looking at size and how poorly women are paid in the Jewish community compared to men, because I think it's really that we use the tools of journalism to highlight this in our own community, because it only just reflects what's going on in the rest of America.
Absolutely. And actually, I have a similar story. When I was at UC Berkeley, and I was studying, there were so few women filmmakers in any of the history books. And so for my thesis, I went out and I'm like, I'm going to find them. And I went out and found all these inspiring women and made my thesis film about them. And that was really what the film was about for me. 50/50 was finding those stories that I wanted to put them in one narrative too. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's why what your role is playing is so important, because you are sharing and exposing and illuminating their work, which of course raises women up higher. So that they can and should be leaders. It's actually interesting that you say that, because I have a lot of Jewish women funders and know a lot of Jewish women leaders here in San Francisco. But it's interesting that in New York, well, part of this day is to change that equation and to get to more gender equality. And I guess I would ask you, in addition to, of course, writing stories and sharing the perspectives more, what else do you think needs to happen in society to move this conversation forward?
Well, I think we have to start with our daughters. I love that scene in the film about your daughter's bat mitzvah. I have 3 daughters. All of them had a bat mitzvah. An amazing ritual and an amazing experience to see this, child. I don't think that they suddenly become a woman in one day, but you see glimpses of the kind of women they're going to be. I'm really, really proud of all of my daughters. They are now all adults, following their career paths that are about helping people and helping the world. And so I think it does have to start for girls and boys. There's no doubt about it. But I think we have to take some concrete steps in our workplaces and in the government to support women. I mean, first in the workplace, we really have to make sure that women get a chance to compete for all the jobs. I mean, the change here at the Forward has been remarkable. We now have 3 women in charge of the main operations of the Forward. Our publisher CEO is a woman, and along with me, the editor of our Yiddish news organization is a woman. This has never happened before. I'd like to think we really, really earned these great positions, but we're also trying to create change here. And so that has to happen. I think the media really has to do more. I just get so tired of the way people always go to the same men for quotes and for information. It's as if we don't exist, as if we don't have our own opinions, but also our own facts, our own experiences bring to bear. And I do think my profession plays a role in.
Yes. It's interesting because, well, first of all, it was when we were programming for 50/50 Day, I had the opposite issue to grapple with, is we really wanted to make sure men were a part of this conversation and it wasn't just all women. So we've had some very evolved men speaking. We just had Michael Kimmel from Stony Brook, who was great. But it was the first time, we had like 90% women or trans or gay, and they were like, and we need the men. It was a funny role reversal, but I've been thinking a lot. Reid Hoffman and Jude Cohen have a new podcast, and they made an announcement they're going to have 50% of the panelists be men, 50% be women, and I actually think making those kind of proclamations is what helps. And if a board, if we had a corporate board requirement that it was a certain percentage women. I mean, you look at the countries where it's happening, and there are quota systems. And I know this all brings up all this stuff around affirmative action, all this stuff. But actually, you want to know something? When you are forced to do something, it really makes you push harder to have that diversity. And I know that some people don't agree with the quota system. But when I look across the board, what are the countries that are truly having diversity on their cabinet? Is they make a proclamation. It's going to be half women. And so there's so many studies that show that, gender diversity overall, any kind of decision making, they make better decisions. So it's like, and what you say about media, if you're only hearing men's opinions, you're only hearing half of the population's opinions. So, and that's not to mention people that don't identify as either. And so we're missing such crucial parts of the perspective. So I feel like, your work is so important. And I know that you wrote a whole book about taking back the vote. And I'm curious, 50/50 is a nonpartisan day, but certainly I would love to know kind of where you think we are, because there's been a lot of inspiring movement from women in the last 6 months as well.
There is, and I do think it's important to understand that trying to believe that you're going to elect more women may mean that you elect women you might not agree with. In your film, you have that
Yes.
Wonderful panoply of people there. And, you know, I lived for England at a time when Margaret Thatcher was prime minister. And
Wow.
I mean, I was an American, so I had nothing to do, of course, with electing her or not. But, you know, it was an interesting experience because there are things about her reign there that I might not have agreed with. Nonetheless, the point is to open up the pool of applicants so that you have the most to choose from. That to me is what this is about. I've worked for male bosses who have been awesome, and I've worked for women sometimes who haven't been. But, you know, we should be allowed to fail too. We should be allowed to not be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, the idea is simply to make it so that so many more people have the opportunity to work, to grow, to create, to lead, to teach. And you're gonna, if you believe in a meritocracy, and I think we do here in America, then you've got to believe that most of the time the right person will rise up there. And so I do think that there's a lot more we can do. And then of course you have the political situation, and I understand this is not a nonpartisan effort. I work for a nonprofit. We don't endorse, but I do think it is appropriate to point out that so many of the decisions that are made that affect women's lives are made by men. And not just in the political sphere, this is true in the religious sphere as well. You know, we don't have pure equality in Jewish life either.
Glad you brought that up, because I've really grappled with that aspect of Judaism. I mean, I'm culturally Jewish, but a lot of my experiences in temple was just the very patriarchal structure of Judaism. And I've searched hard to reclaim parts of it and studied with people who have taught me new words for things that don't make it so male, and angry father and women subordinate. And yeah, but I think in Judaism, and you have a lot of strong Jewish women activists, feminists, and
the change in my lifetime, Tiffany, has really been amazing. I mean, I'm older than you are, and so I remember when women were allowed to become rabbis for the first time, and
right.
And now you have rabbinical schools in the non-Orthodox denominations where half the students are women, and they've made a remarkable change in liturgy, in pastoral care, in how we think about our religious life. And in my view, it has just been incredibly positive, because it means that we just have so much more to choose from. And that's really important for men and for women.
Amen. Yes, yes. Yes to more women voices in publications like yours and spread throughout the media, so we're truly seeing diverse perspectives on issues.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, for more gender equality in religions, and even in cultural, the way we talk about it. I think our goal really is to have this conversation move everything forward, and you're very much a part of it. So thank you for all the important work that you're doing at the Forward, and I love that there's strong women running it, and we need more women's voices in media. So thank you for all of your work.
Oh, such a privilege to be part of this day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks.